me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Married to the Road. Follow Larry and Angie Baum and their two fur babies, Gizmo and Bandit, as they trek across America, trying to make a difference in the trucking community. As the founders of Trucker Safety Info, they inform truckers about bad weather, construction, accidents, and more. Also the founders of Treat a Trucker, where they gift truckers with Walmart and food gift cards to show their appreciation to the American trucker. Follow their journey on Married to the Road on Facebook today.
Good morning, or good morning. Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good evening, ladies.
Oh my goodness. Good morning. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what day it is or what time it is or anything else, I guess.
It's not morning, Angela. It's not morning.
Okay, can I just say
it's not morning.
I know. And I'm really jealous of Chris eating that, whatever it is. It looks really good.
I'm so hungry. I'm trying to hurry up and eat it before we really get into our show. I've taken monstrous bites just to get it down, but it's really good.
Well, it's not like you've been busy driving,
No, she hasn't been driving. What are you talking about?
No.
She's a seat warmer like I am.
Right.
So, Lori, we'll start with you. How has your week been?
It has been very lonely.
Did you say lonely?
Wi-Fi, It's been a lonely week.
Why has it been a lonely week? Oh, because you didn't have good connection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a lonely week.
I hear ya. So, Chris, this was your first full week out there on the road driving. Now you weren't a passenger. So how did that go?
I'm being glared at. It went really well, I think. It's been interesting. It's been quite the learning experience. I feel like I'm still kind of in school.
Yeah.
But, the driving part of it has gone really, really well.
She hasn't killed me yet, so there's that.
Hey, that's a plus.
That's a plus. As Justin said to you earlier, I got to multitask a little bit, with my phone and, looking up way stations and things like that, which is huge when you're driving, as you know, to try to keep this thing steady and, work-related stuff like way stations and truck stops and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice that I was able to maneuver that and keep the truck between the lines and not have the lane departure warning on me all the time. Yeah.
I'm so glad we don't have that in our truck. We had it on the last truck and I hated it.
It is awful.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the purpose, but it's awful.
So we have a special guest with us that's going to be on shortly, Jess Graham from Real Women in Trucking, which I was super honored that I was one of the winners last year of the Queen of the Road Awards and got to go to Vegas and actually meet Jess and Desiree and everybody else. And so we're super excited to have her on here to kind of explain a little bit about what Real Women in Trucking is, what all the organization does, because they do a lot of good in the trucking community. But before we get to Jess, we did want to talk a little bit about everything that's going on in the news lately, which seems to be the hottest topic. And that's what's going on in Ottawa. So, Lori, I was actually going to have you, I forgot to download the tweet, but you want to tell everybody a little bit about the tweet that was on this morning?
this morning when I woke up, my phone was blowing up, of course, but we found an article saying that they have 8 days to remove their pet from the truck. After 8 days, if they don't do that, then they're going to they're going to take their pets, and it was saying about euthanizing their pets and turning them over to a shelter and just a bunch of other stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they've already taken their kids away, or tried to take their kids away.
Yeah.
They're beating people with the butts of their guns. They're seizing their bank accounts.
Yep.
So what's next for the Canadians? I feel really bad for them.
So yeah, and that's the one thing I did want to kind of mention. It's hard because a lot of us rely on the news for our source of information, and unfortunately, we all know that sometimes the news is politically based, and so they're one way or another. So I don't really watch the news that much. I actually watch live video feeds, so I can actually see what's going on down there for myself. And everything that I have seen, and I'm glued to this, I can't help it, is because I've met a lot of awesome people through it, is everybody's been peaceful for the most part. I haven't seen the protesters do anything bad. I actually have some pictures from today of the protesters and some of the police officers actually hugging it out today, which I thought was a nice change from yesterday where it was pretty violent out there. And then I was trying to find the one. I don't think I have it. Do I? Yeah, so this one is actually where they had the mounted police come in yesterday and they trampled a lady that was in a wheelchair. And she actually did a video just a little bit ago. And she's fine. There was a bunch of questions as to whether or not she had died yesterday, and I couldn't get an answer on it until this afternoon. I found out what her name was. Her name was Roberta Paulson, and she is actually a top clan member for the Mohawk Indian tribe. So needless to say, the Mohawk Indian tribe is extremely upset that she was trampled by the mounted police. They didn't stop. They didn't check on her. They didn't see how she was doing. And she did have to go to the hospital to get checked out. So now the Mohawk Indian tribe is coming down to join the protest too, because they're upset about what happened to her. So I don't know.
That's the thing when we're on TikTok and watching their live feeds. It shows them dancing, having a good time, singing the anthem. They have not done anything wrong.
No, and I mean, today we were watching them, praying while they were singing the Canadian anthem, and we saw police breaking out the windows of trucks because they were trying to tow them. And as far as the pets, I guess what the big issue was is a bunch of people were saying that they were worried about the pets being down there with the truck fumes. And a lot of us have pets on the trucks, and we know very good and well that if a pet is in an environment like a truck that is climate controlled because it's running, the pet is fine. But I think they were using it as a way to try to get the trucks to remove their trucks out of downtown Ottawa, that if you have pets in your truck, we're going to get them out of your truck. We're going to seize them for 8 days, and it's going to cost you. They're going to charge the driver for every day that they have ownership of that dog or cat or whatever it is. And then after 8 days, then you relinquish your rights to the animal, and it could possibly be euthanized. I was like, are you serious?
That's a little harsh, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's really, yeah, me too.
And I think it's unfair.
We all have dogs on our trucks, and I'm sorry, but if you try to hurt one of my dogs, that's war,
Well,
yeah.
One of the other things I saw today was, and they did this this morning, they were shooting tear gas at the protesters. And if you saw the protesters that they were shooting the tear gas at, they were just peacefully protesting. They weren't yelling at the police or being aggressive. But then there was a video of where the police were shooting the tear gas, and the protesters kicked the tear gas cans back at the police officers. And that's what the news caught. And so then they were saying, well, the protesters are shooting tear gas at the police. And if you watch the whole video, it was actually the police were shooting tear gas at the protesters and they were kicking it back. And we have a comment here from Judy Roth Young who said there was a lot of pepper spray today. Yeah, it's been a bad 2 days, which I kind of had a feeling it was going to go that way.
It just makes me cry now seeing all this.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Every day it's something new that they're doing to them. I don't know how much for the Canadians you take.
Let's see. Gary Hodgkin says, I don't think that can happen here with who's running the country. I agree. And we've talked about a little bit, and I don't want to go too much into detail. We'll talk about it at the end of the show because I do want to get Jess on here. But the U.S. convoy is starting this week on February 23rd. There's also another one on March 1st, with the final destination being in Washington, D.C. And they have put up the route information for those of you who may be interested in joining. And then Kathy Hilton said, all I have seen is police brutality. And I think the saddest thing about it is if anybody's really been to Canada, and we've been to, I think, four provinces so far, the people in Canadian are so much different than here in the United States. They are genuinely nice. From Border Patrol to the police to the truck drivers to people working at Tim Hortons and the truck stop, they are genuinely nice and peaceful people. So when you see this protest going on, it's not like what we have going on in the United States like 2 years ago when they were burning buildings and causing destruction. That's not happening here. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's getting kind of scary. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the next week will be very interesting.
I think so too.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to switch topics so we can talk a little bit more about that tonight or at the end of the show, because we'll talk a little bit more about the truck routes and where you can go to get more information on that if you're interested. I know that there's a lot of people that are wanting to get information as far as like what overpasses, because a lot of people are wanting to come out and support and bring supplies and stuff like that. So we'll give you, did you have something you want to say, Lori?
Talking about overpasses, twice today on overpass, we saw people with flags and to reach the local one when we're passing on I think it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
We're driving so fast I couldn't get pictures.
Oh, I hate it when you see something cool in the overpass and then you're like, by the time you get it, you can't get a picture of it. Lori Lee said, I would be concerned that might happen in DC. I don't trust that location at all. I agree because they know that the U.S. drivers are coming. David Payne said, be safe and take care. And Kathy Cutler said, I'm worried too about what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting. That's all I can say.
We'll see how it's sold, you know.
Yeah, Dawn Needham says, hello, Angie, Chris, and Lori.
Hi, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn. Okay, so we've got Jess in the back. We're going to bring her on here. So for those of you, I'm going to play a little commercial that I made, kind of introducing you guys. If you're not familiar with Real Women in Trucking and what all they do, and then we'll get Jess on here in just a moment. So here we go.
Real Women in Trucking is an amazing organization that is comprised of seasoned truck drivers, new truck drivers, truckers' wives, girlfriends, and so much more. Their mission at Real Women in Trucking is to help empower women in the trucking industry and also those who are new and entering the industry through outreach programs, continued education, mentoring, networking, ongoing support to help promote retention in our trucking community, and also encouragement and unity between both new and seasoned female truckers. Please join Real Women in Trucking today. The annual membership is $55 and includes a t-shirt, a pen, and a sticker. And don't forget, you can join the new Make-A-Wish convoy on Mother's Day weekend.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Good. How are you ladies doing tonight?
We're good. How are you?
I am just taking a slow roll Saturday. My load's got so much time on it, so I've just kind of been dealing with my pile of sadness, which is as everybody knows, it just by the end of my week is just that spot where everything's gotten kicked between tools, paperwork. I think there's some Gatorade bottles in there. I'm not really 100% sure that it's not alive at this point, but that's what I've been doing today. So yeah, that's just
I like weekends like that where you don't have to rush and you can have a few hours to have some downtime. It's always nice to have a weekend like that.
Well, I changed from my company driver mentality of I wanted to be top of the fleet and get 4,000 miles a week every week, and I did it, and I was killing myself, dying. It never seemed to be enough. And now that I own my truck and operate under my own authority, I, as my partner says, have become the hardest working lazy person he knows. Like I get up and I do my job well, but my broker, she likes to keep me right at that like 7 hours in my work day mentality, but she likes to throw lots of money at me. So I'm gonna handle that. I'm gonna take every dollar she wants to throw at me just so that I can do the bare minimum.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, Jess, I was going to have you tell everybody. So, we all know that you're an over-the-road trucker right now. You're an owner-operator. How did you get started in the trucking industry?
Well, in 2012, I was looking for a way out of an abusive relationship with my daughter's dad. And I was in transportation. We had a sedan and limousine service in Detroit. So transportation was all I've known since 2007. So I was trying to look for something in that field, but that's at the beginning of Uber. I had no money. I mean, it was a mess for me to try and do something where I could make a clean break and get as much distance put in between me and my ex as possible. And when looking for a job, everything said Class A CDL. So I, on a Thursday, filled out for a mega carrier. On Sunday, I was on the bus in processing. It was that quick. Got my CDL, went back and picked up my daughter and homeschooled her on the truck, and we have not looked back.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
wow.
awesome.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's
I always wonder. It's like my kids are all grown now, and when I see people that have their kids out there, I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. I don't have the patience. So my hats are always off to people who have their kids out there and then try to work, because I'm like, I can barely make it 10 hours with just me and Larry. I don't know if I can handle a kid on the road.
I think you and the
That's hard.
pups. If you kicked Larry and the pups out, you could probably handle a kid or two.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit easier to feed. Just give them some like peanut butter and jelly or mac and cheese, and you're good to go.
Absolutely.
I've seen some of those meals you guys make together, and it's insane because, yeah, this truck's not set up for cooking at all right now. So I'm getting ready to do a big gut and redo the whole layout. My truck is 27 years old, so she's getting ready to have a facelift.
Oh, it's always good to reorganize and redo your truck every once in a while, especially when we live in it so much.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was going to ask you, what do you think is the biggest issue that female drivers in today's day and age face out there on the roads?
Right now, we are seeing a lot of companies over recruiting and not providing realistic, like they're setting women up for failure in an effort to stick with the keywords and buzzwords and look like you're promoting diversity and inclusion. They are just trying to funnel as many women through, but not actually do anything to guarantee their success. At some of these mega carriers right now, there are 200 to 300 drivers sitting in hotels waiting for trainers, all because they don't want to encourage mixed gender training, because they don't want to fix the problems that they're having in their fleets. They'd rather set drivers up for an unfair advantage, which EEOC already said by having same gender only policies, it violates a woman's right to have equal training opportunity, because a man can get out of his schooling with a CDL in less than a week, be in a truck with a trainer, where a woman has to wait anywhere from 4 to 6, 9 to 12 weeks, we've seen, to have
Oh,
a
wow.
female trainer. So it
Yeah.
unfairly puts women at a disadvantage, and they're still pushing. I just saw something today that kind of lit me on fire. These companies now, these big carriers, are basically having you sign a waiver if you choose to go with a mixed gender training, saying you can't hold us liable. So they're kind of coercing you into saying, well, wait a minute, what's wrong if I go with a mixed trainer? Maybe I will just sit and wait for a female. And again, they're basically forcing the women to, quote unquote, choose to sit in a hotel for 6 to 8 to 12 weeks to wait for a female trainer. And
Oh,
it puts them at a disadvantage. They end up not making it out of training. They get so frustrated and then they're locked into a contract with that company, so they can't even go somewhere else for training.
I was just going to say, yeah, because if you've gone through all that to go through the training and now you want to wait for a female trainer and they're telling you have to wait that long, or if you choose to go with a mixed trainer, then you can't sue if something goes wrong while you're out there in training. That would be a hard decision, because so many women, a lot of times they're paying for that training out of their own pocket, which is not cheap. We all know that. And then they're being forced with, well, I really need a job. I can't wait 6 to 12 weeks to get a trainer that I need. So I guess I'll just go with a mixed trainer. That's
And
terrible.
they're setting drivers up for failure. They're preying on people that, most people do not go, hey, I've achieved, all my life's goals and I've been most people get into trucking that are looking for a helping hand up, a way to change their station. Like me, like me personally, like it was a way to get out of a bad situation, and they count on that for this student labor that they're trying to pull in. They count on you not having the money to go somewhere else or to wait it out, or so you're stuck sitting there having to buy food out. You get $50 a day and you still have to pay for your basic living expense. And we all know one meal delivered to a hotel, that's $50 right there. So you basically get nothing. We've all been broken down. We've all been stuck in a hotel in a place we don't know. It's not cheap, unless you want to live on ramen noodles, and even those at the hotels are still just like the truck stops, $3 a container.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a horrible place. That's a horrible position to be in. I had heard a little bit about how, there's such a shortage of female trainers out there and how that was such an issue, but I didn't realize that was shocking. I'm glad you shared that.
It's difficult when you put two women in a truck, and same gender training is not the answer. It is vetting and training your trainers correctly.
Yeah.
Teaching them that this is your home, yes, but at the same time, this is a workplace. And when law enforcement gets involved, they don't understand what two strangers are doing in this little truck. They're thinking it's domestic violence, but really it's workplace violence whenever issues do arise. And we've got videos sent to us all the time, and we share them on our YouTube, about females getting assaulted by female trainers. It really is, you have to have a heart for it, and it's really difficult. But again, with these fleets and their over recruiting, they push people that are not equipped in the social skills side into these purchases, which then they turn around, and in order for you to get out of the hole you've been put in and dug in making those payments, say, well, you could make more money if you took a student. So now you have a student on your truck that you really shouldn't have, just so that you can survive and get a paycheck that is over $300.
Right.
You have Oliveri versus New Prime Inc., which is Prime, one of the biggest recruiting companies, biggest training companies, and biggest lease purchase scams is what we call them, because the Supreme Court has said that if you get your freight from the same company you make your truck payment to, you are a misclassified worker. You are not an independent contractor. Supreme Court of the United States. And that $28 million verdict affected 40,000 past and current prime drivers. That's a lot of wage theft going on.
Oh, yeah.
40,000 people are affected. And yet every day on social media, we get raked over the coals when we try and say something about it, when we have drivers that say, no, they're a good company. And we're like, the amount of lawsuits they have for wage theft, sexual harassment, you name it, these companies have massive lawsuits. CRST, 300 sexual harassment lawsuits in the last 20 years. Most of them $5 million was the most recent verdict, and there's a few more that we are actively participating in. Sierra England, same thing. Stop the Stockholm syndrome, of these companies. I've always said, based on my experience, I know that when I first started, I went to a company that was 4 hours away from my home. That was where my schooling took place, because at one, I didn't know any better, but my experience taught me 4 hours, if something goes wrong, is the limit that my sister will drive to come get me if something goes wrong. So I don't get stuck there. My sister's not driving out to Missouri, and she's not buying me a plane ticket home. My sister will drive from her house to her cabin up north. That's 4 hours. So I know that is her range to come get me if something goes wrong. So that's my advice. Only, don't leave your home state to get your CDL. Every state has schooling. Every state has companies. Why do we keep going to these top 10, top 20 mega carriers when there are over 500 trucking companies in the United States?
Wow. Absolutely. I've never understood that.
500,000 trucking companies. That number is way, between small companies like mine. Why aren't we, I've kind of been mixed on the convoy. Why have we not gotten railed up about truck parking? Why are we not convoying for truck parking, safe truck parking? Why didn't we get this upset when Jason Rivenberg was killed for $7 on his dashboard because a shipper turned him away and he had to find somewhere off to the side of the road to park? Why did we not, get railed up about that? Why did we not get upset over, the sexual harassments in the training fleets? There's so many issues facing trucking that I think we should be looking at. Why are we not getting railed up about the wage theft and the treatment of drivers before now? So, I'm sort of torn.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I know, because I before I ever became the Queen of the Road winner, I had been on Real Women in Trucking for a very long time, and so I know a lot of what you guys have done. But one of the things we were talking about was female sexual harassment, how it's such a real problem in the trucking industry, especially when it comes to the training process. So can you tell how Real Women in Trucking has been trying to make a difference over the years? Because I know that you guys were involved somewhat with the CRST lawsuit as well.
That's right. Desiree was actually an expert witness on behalf of the rape victim, where the Women in Trucking organization, their president, Ellen Boyer, actually testified on behalf of CRST. And in the deposition, you can actually see where she would have stayed on and testified on behalf of the rapist if CRST was found innocent, but she would continue to support the perpetrator of this. And this is not her first time she has testified against somebody or against a victim. That she's had multiple lawsuits where she has testified on behalf of the company. We are not corporate sponsored. We are solely supported on our membership dues. And so everything you see when we have to go out to Washington, D.C. and take meetings with legislators, that's paid for strictly off of members who support change in the industry. We've worked really hand in hand with Hope Rivenberg, Jason Rivenberg's wife, to support her effort to get truck parking. Now, we need everybody to step up. That's one of the issues. Why are we not? I don't see the point of a convoy going coast to coast. I participate in Georgia because that's where I live, in truck parking MPOs. I've contacted my MPO office. I'm in touch, and I'm part of the Georgia Truck Parking Coalition. When all the people that work for Georgia's truck parking and in those offices, they know who I am because I've made myself known. If you need to talk to a driver, if you have a truck parking meeting in a neighborhood coming up, let me know. I will be there. So I need more drivers in other states to do the same thing. Why are we not focusing on the issues that face us and have faced us, that have basically kept us unsafe out here?
And that was the other thing. I know that you guys are doing a lot of work right now with trying to find safe parking. And I think a lot of people who are not truckers may not understand how hard it is if there's not a safe haven provided for a trucker, or maybe there's no openings at a truck stop or a rest area. And we have known, like Jason, drivers that have been killed because they didn't have safe parking to use, and they were maybe parked in a bad area or a bad neighborhood. So can you tell a little bit about what you guys are trying to accomplish with the safe parking?
Well, because Jason's law is actual federal law now, each state can actually apply for Title 23 funds to improve their truck parking. So it's a matter of getting now at the state level, getting with your state's MPOs so that they can start looking for ways to employ. We need you to participate in surveys. When we put out a survey for a state, says, have you been through this state? What is the truck parking like in that state? Everybody should be filling out. They should have 60,000 responses instead of 14. This is why we're not getting anything done, and why we need to start really working towards getting things done. It's disheartening, I think, for us as an organization when we ask for we ask for information, we ask for help. Weigh in, take this 5-minute survey. I see so many people that will spend 3 hours taking surveys to find out what M&M color they are. Take a survey that really can actually impact your life and your industry and help somebody else in the industry.
Absolutely. Oh, I think we lost her.
Come back.
I know. I think we just lost her.
Oh, no.
Lori, when she does come back, I'll let you ask your questions that you had for her. I've still got her backstage. I think it was her camera that went out, so we'll wait and see if she comes back in.
Okay.
Yeah, they've done so. We'll get to some of the questions real quick while we're waiting on Jess to come back
So
in.
Real Women Trucking actually does a lot of good for women out there.
Oh, yeah. And there was a question somebody asked, and I apologize, I didn't put it up, but somebody did ask, there she is, hold on just a second. Somebody asked if they could join Real Women in Trucking if they weren't a trucker. Yes, you can. You can be a trucker's wife, trucker's girlfriend, trucker, whatever. You can join Real Women in Trucking's membership. It's $55 a year. The first year you do get a t-shirt and a pen and a sticker, but and you also get access to a special Facebook group that only members have access to. And so, but Jess is back, so let me get her back on here real quick. Hello.
Straight in. But yes, we welcome everybody. That's the whole premise of our organization, is diversity and inclusion. We were the first to embrace everyone in the industry and not just certain people. And as Andy said, we and everyone is welcome. And it does. It supports actual grassroots efforts to make changes. It supports attending truck parking meetings, meeting with legislatures. We have worked since 2009 to get a seat at the table and be included in meetings at places such as the Department of Labor, Department of Transportation, the White House. And this year we've actually made those strides, and Desiree has been able to be involved in those and be there and make sure that we actually have a voice.
Absolutely. Lori, did you have a few questions for Jess?
I did. Okay, so we already know who can join. Anybody female that's in trucking and wives, all that, right?
Yep, everybody, men, women, everybody.
I was really, really happy when Angie says, yes, Lori, you can join. I'm like, oh, yay! I'm a writer, so I'm pretty happy about it.
But everything that we're fighting for impacts you. It impacts the industry as a whole. We are not just fighting for drivers. We just happen to have been founded by a bunch of really strong and determined women who did not see someone actually standing up for us.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot what we do too in Trucker Safety Divas. We're the voice of some of these women out there, you know.
Absolutely. We all stick together and I think work together really well. You guys are great at disseminating information. And that's what I love about you ladies is, you know, I am so not social media savvy at all. So when I just kind of let Angie take over and I share something to our Real Women in Trucking like page, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to let everybody know. And she does.
Well, you're more than welcome to share whatever I post in Rolling with the Underwoods also.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what things do you hope to improve in the trucking industry in the future of it? In the future of the trucking industry. Yeah.
I think that we really need to focus on improving the standards of training. So many drivers, Indeed.com posted at the end of last year an article tracking truck drivers, and they said that most new truck drivers, men and women, will not make it to the 1 year mark. And our information is that only 1 in 6 women makes it out of their first year. That's a 17% success rate for women.
Wow.
So it all comes down to the training. In the beginning, if you're set up for failure, you will fail. If you are given the tools to be successful, you will be successful. You cannot use and abuse cheap labor and expect them to want to stick around. They're churning through it's the meat grinder mentality of these big companies. 450,000 CDLs a year are issued. Why are we having There is no shortage of people attempting to enter, but when you only have 17% that are going to be successful, that's when you're actually seeing the fallout of this student driving. But they don't care. They don't care if you make it 1 year, because at 1 year, you are now a more expensive commodity. They want that new 16, 17, 14 cents a mile driver running team freight in an unsafe situation for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then they've made their money back tenfold and they're done with you.
Absolutely.
That's one question we get asked a lot is driver shortage.
There's absolutely no driver shortage. Like I said, 450,000 CDLs are issued a year. Why? Yep. I want to see a government agency actually sit back and ask all of these companies, because every single one of these companies gets federal funding to train. So our tax dollars are paying for new students to get churned through and used and abused. I would love to see an oversight committee or somebody that says, okay, where is the bang for our buck? You made your profit. Where is our return on our investment in your company training drivers?
Yep. Absolutely.
Can you tell us about the Tier Project?
TIER, Truckers Emergency Assistance Responders. That is Miss Idella Hansen's baby. Her and Michelle Scolari and Desiree Wood, and then a few of us volunteer. That is an amazing organization. That is one of the other issues we see with these big companies, small company, every company is driver abandonment. We've all heard stories, and most of us have even been through it possibly, where we are dumped off at a terminal that is way outside of our state. We probably have not been making a paycheck because our truck may have been broke down or we're still in training. All these situations lead you to be stuck in a place you're not familiar with and have no resources or access to resources, and you have to figure out for yourself how to get home.
Oh, wow.
A student will get in an argument with their trainer and get kicked off the truck, and it's nowhere near their home. Team drivers all the time. Or we've even seen where established drivers get in a fight with their dispatcher, 3:00 in the morning, the sheriff knocks on their truck and says, you have to vacate and you have 5 minutes to do so. Yeah, that's the reality we face. Why would people want to enter this industry if this is the potential for what they're going to go through?
Right.
I think we have to reevaluate how we're treating drivers. But TIER is a 501c3 nonprofit, whereas Real Women in Trucking is a 501c6 nonprofit trade organization. TIER is an actual charity. Donations are basically all we subsist on and can always use extra funds. And we are short-term, immediate assistance to help a driver get home or safe when they have been abandoned by their carrier.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, we have helped drivers get a hotel room for 2 nights while they get their feet underneath them, or we've helped drivers get a bus ticket or a plane ticket home. A lot of times when you're kicked out of your truck, you have a pet with you or a passenger, all of your stuff. I mean, I live in my truck, and thank God nobody can kick me out of my truck, but I can't imagine having this much. I remember moving out of my company truck and into this truck and driving across the country with my stuff. It was a lot. It filled a minivan.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot too.
It's amazing how much stuff you can cram in here. Don't look at my top bunk. I'm not on the phone there.
I did want to say, yes, it was 2 days ago. For those of you guys that don't know, Idella Hansen, first of all, she is like a legend, and just as far as a female trucker, she is someone to truly look up to. And if you have ever been to the Petro right outside Little Rock, Arkansas, the Petro is actually on the the driver's door. As soon as you walk in, it says, "Welcome to the Idella Hansen Center." And inside is a big plaque with her picture and all of her information on it. And the first time I saw it was like 6 months ago. And I bet you I've been in there, a million times. And I was like, just blown away. It was so cool.
I'll have to go there and check that out.
And, she's driving 52 years now, and she still drives. And she drives an armored semi, so she's even more badass. Because when I grow up, I want to be Idella. That's my eventually when I grow up, because I'm not trying to do that anytime soon.
I hear you. Chris, I think you had a few questions that you wanted to ask Jess.
Yeah, I did. So we know that right now, you guys are trying to make a pretty significant difference when it comes to having safe parking for the truckers. Tell us a little bit more about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Desiree worked hand in hand with Hope Rivenberg to get Jason's Law passed. And that is a federal law guaranteeing that truckers have a right to safe parking, essentially. And so it's Hope, bless her, is now battling her own health issues and trying to raise her children. And so it's up to us to step in. And now that we have a guaranteed right granted by the federal government, it's up to us to go into our states. And so you contact your MPO and your freight offices at the state level and at your city and local level, and start connecting with them and letting them know, hey, I'm a truck driver. I live in this area. Let me know what's going on with truck parking. How can I be of assistance? And they will so welcome. Like, I know that when I reached out to my friend Mary about, she works in Georgia's MPO, and I actually met her just in a parking structure in New Orleans, one evening, and we became instantly like, oh my gosh, we were meant to meet. But so she reached out to me and said, hey, Georgia's making a move. Let's get you to get some input in on this. And that's how easy it is. Just reach out to these offices and find out when are truck parking meetings. Go to truck parking meetings. A lot of things now since COVID are all virtual anyways. So log in and do a Zoom. You don't even have to be there in person anymore. You can still weigh in and say, this is my story. This is why truck parking applies, safe truck parking applies to me. I always share when I'm talking to people in these offices, I always share Jason and Hope's story. And I also share my own personal experiences. And when you're talking in front of a truck parking group that is concerned citizens, we don't want riffraff coming into our neighborhood. We don't want our property values to go down. I say, look, the image of the outlaw truck driver is gone. I am the new truck driver. I am a single working mother. I don't want the riffraff either. I just want a safe place to pull over, take a shower, eat a meal, and I tell them how I did. I homeschooled my daughter in the truck, how we looked for places that we could pull over and she could get out and put her roller skates on and we could throw the softball around or put out the cones in a field off to the side and kick the soccer ball around to be active and to do stuff. You see a lot more families out here now. And so you make it known to these people in these meetings, trucking has changed. It is not the outlaws anymore. We are trucking.
Yeah. And parking is super important. Like you said, having a safe place to park, whether you have pets, you're solo, a team, you have children. I mean, so many times, even with my fiance and I, before I became a driver, so many times you pull into a truck stop and there's, trucks parked where they shouldn't be, which makes it difficult for the other drivers. But I mean, they've got to get off the road, you know what I mean? Because if not, they face consequences. And so I know I appreciate what you do as far as, working towards that.
I believe nationwide there's something like 350,000 private and public truck parking spots in the form of rest areas and truck stops. And there is over 1 million over the road trucks driving around. So there is definitely a need. So it's up to us to be our own advocates because we have people working against us. We've got these ladies that want their Costco goods, but they don't want the trucks to bring this stuff to Costco.
Right.
Can't have it both ways.
Right.
So it's the easiest thing that you can do is take the surveys. Like I said, get involved at your state and local level. Just if every one of us got involved in our own neighborhood. I'm part of Gwinnett County. I'm the only truck driver they talked to because I'm the only one that said, hey, I live in Gwinnett. I know what we face here when I come home. I know the area. So have any questions, ask me.
That's awesome.
And so we're looking at what areas of the county can make truck traffic flow better. So it's not just about truck parking. It's about finding bottlenecks that could ease traffic. We all know Atlanta is what people call the worst. And it gets better once you live there and to expect that the center lane is 45 miles an hour, but on back roads, you are required to go freeway speeds, even though it says 45 miles an hour posted. Those are the rules of Georgia. And we don't use mile markers. We use burnt cars and ladders. occasionally a cooler.
We have a comment real quick from Dawn Stanton, and Dawn Stanton is actually a female solo driver. She used to, her husband and her both were truck drivers, and they would drive separately. Sadly, her husband passed away a little bit ago, but she said, when I lived in Lincoln, Alabama, there was 4 truck stops and a restaurant and a place to park, but there's still not enough parking for all of our drivers to stay. And then she also said where she lives at, the city officials don't listen to anyone in the area that she lives in, which I'm sure is probably something you guys have run into.
If your city won't listen, go to the county. If the county won't listen, go to the state.
Yeah.
Work your way up. Go higher. You have to shout, and squeaky wheel gets the oil. So you have to keep shouting and shouting and shouting. If you write a letter every day, email everybody, CC everybody in every office in your state about truck parking every day. Eventually, they're going to say, please stop. What do you want, lady? I mean, that's how you do it. We have letter writing campaigns all the time, and we wish more people would participate and send them out. We want you to send it, not just once, send it every time we post a letter, share, email your congressman, or congresswoman. We would love for you to take the 30 seconds to copy, paste, sign your name, and send it out every day. We all do Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of it, usually when we're in the bathroom taking our 30-minute break, because we want a minute of not in the truck. So
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, that's usually when I'm like writing my best emails.
Yes.
But, take 30 seconds a day and, just copy paste. I've got files on my computer of what is my response to this? What is my response to that? So when somebody asks this question, so I don't have to type out 5 paragraphs every day. I've already got my information. And what we do at Real Women in Trucking is, if you read our blog, if you follow our like page, we share our letters out. So all you have to do is copy and paste and sign your name.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Every time we are emailing and we try and rally as many people to, write your senators, write your congressmen, call every day. Call your grandma in the morning, and then I'm going to call my senator right after my grandma and see if I can get through. Eventually, they're going to call you back.
Right. Persistence. Mm-hmm.
Chris, do you mind if I ask a question? I know you have one more still, but do you mind if I ask another question real fast?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. A lot of people think trucking is you sit on your butt all day and you just drive. How do I want to word this? Can you explain exactly how hard trucking is?
Everything that can happen will happen, and you have to still push forward. We are, I think Northwest Insurance, I love stats. They tease me. I don't want generalizations. I actually want to know the numbers. And I think that's why I've gotten in trouble with some people in other organizations, because I've asked for the actual numbers. But Northwest Mutual Insurance said that truck drivers on average make 80 decisions a minute.
Wow.
That is double what the average person does. We have to analyze and make decisions at twice the rate as other people. We're analyzing, and you think about, why am I going to use math or science? We are analyzing weights and winds and variables and all of these different factors.
Yep.
How is my trailer loaded? We're doing physics all day long. Your trailer drives different uphill empty than it does loaded, and how it's loaded can, if it's heavier you want it heavier in the front, than in the back, because you have more control that way, you know? And so there's all these different variables that people think are, you know, we're just dumb truck drivers, but no, we're actually doing complex calculations rapidly over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
Great question, Lori. So Jess, with all the work that you guys are doing, what do you think is the biggest impact that Real Women in Trucking has made on the trucking industry so far?
For sure, just raising awareness to the issues that women face. There are actual real issues going on, and no doll or Girl Scout patch is going to change that. You know, we're finally people are starting to actually take notice and say, hey, these ladies actually weren't crazy. These ladies are right. They've been talking about the churning effect of these mega carriers, and we're actually, like, when we stop and look, we're seeing that it's actually true. We can back up what we're saying, you know, with actual numbers. Parking is, again, it's hard to say what our true, our biggest impact is, but I think my proudest part of the organization is actually recognizing interesting and diverse women, acknowledging their contribution to the industry. Andy, you are a queen of the road, and I love everything you do. And you are in a long line of amazing queens, and I love doing the stuff for Queen of the Road, you know, from getting the nominations. And I'm always the first one that gets to read, you know, in the last couple of years, gets to read the stories and tell the stories of the women, because, you know, just like my own story, every one of us has overcome and had so much go on, and it's led us to this point where we're here and we're doing this. We're thriving and surviving and doing it with such grace and class. And I think when you go back and read the Queen's stories from years past, you can find those all on our blog. You meet 78 amazing women that, you know, it's hard. That's why we don't just award one, why we try and give out as many awards as possible, because there's so many women deserve, you know.
I loved reading all the stories last year when I voted for Angie. All those women were amazing.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't get to the bottom of the nomination link and have not cried, then you have no soul.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
You go through and you're reading, you're like, and I think Angie, you had said this, and you're like, when I was reading all the other people, like, I don't feel like I did enough, but you did. People said, you are amazing, you know, and I felt the same way. I'm like, I'm sitting here comparing myself to Michelle Solari, and like, I don't measure up. And then she's like, yes, you're amazing, you know. And, you know, Michelle's comparing herself to Adele, and Adele's like, Michelle, you're amazing, you know. So I think that having this group, I know 2020 or 20, was it 20? Yeah, 2020 Queen of the Road, Edwina Webb, she's going to be at my birthday party. I'm so excited because she's amazing. You know,
Are you still doing the Queen of the Road?
This year, it's actually going to be held at the She Trucking Expo. As far as I know, it's going to be a joint collaboration between Real Women in Trucking and She Trucking. We're trying to take it to the next level, and yet, I mean, like, I think we've done the groundwork, but I think Sheree can do amazing things and really blow it up, so that the world is like, there's even more of these amazing women, you know?
Absolutely.
So
Do
just
you,
one.
oh, sorry, Anne, go ahead.
It was Chris. It was Chris.
Oh, my bad.
I was just going to ask, I had one last question for you. If you wouldn't mind, I know you touched base a little bit. Angie mentioned it also about the membership for Real Women in Trucking. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the membership, how to go about it, maybe where to find the link, some details?
Absolutely. On our Facebook page and all of our social medias, you will find Real Women in Trucking .com/membership. That is the direct link to get to it, and we can post it as well later. We try and share it out as often as possible. $55 a year, and it comes with some great Real Women in Trucking swag so that you can show that you're proud to be part of our organization. But every dollar does go to actual advocacy. Queen of the Road is privately sponsored by Road Pro Brands. And so every membership dollar goes to providing outreach services and, helping us put out our flyers, get our information out there, meet with legislators, and do all the things that we need to make sure that we have a voice. And then we also now have a Patreon account, and I just posted that link today on our pages. That is so that if you may not want to be a member, but here's the thing. I'm not going to lie. We have 3 days, I believe, before we drop a huge announcement. So you better watch our pages. We are going to actually offer some amazing member only benefits, which are worth their weight in gold. And we've been working with Heidi from Full Tank Financial on those member benefits. So that's your little tip onto what we possibly could be offering. She's about to blow it out, and I'm excited. I've already got my information waiting for her to announce when we can sign up. But yeah, watch our page. We'll come back on and maybe talk with you ladies again about why it's so important that we have this member benefit. And it's exclusive to us. It's unheard of in the industry at the moment. We're going to be the only organization offering this kind of benefit.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Anyways, back to Patreon. You can actually become a monthly supporter through Patreon. $1, $2 every month. My mom does $2 a month out to Real Women in Trucking because she supports what I do. And I was talking with her today. She didn't even realize how much I had to overcome until I started with Real Women in Trucking and started telling my story. So that's when she was like, yeah, I'm going to support that.
I think as women, we tend to keep all that stuff inside and bottled up, and we don't talk about it until we absolutely have to. I think it's us trying, because we're independent, we're strong, especially being female truck drivers out here in a male industry. I know I tend to be the same way.
Well, a friend of my mom's, the Honorable Lisa Showman, she had said no woman falls into leadership by choice. We are put into leadership roles based on the circumstances we face. And that has always stuck with me.
That is so true. That is so true.
Do you do anything special for the wives or the riders out there? Is there any kind of word or anything they can gain?
I'm sorry. Is there any kind of, I didn't get that last part.
Is there any kind of word or anything that wives that ride out here, is there anything that they get with being in Real Women Trucking?
You get the same member package and benefits. And when we roll out this member benefit that we are about to announce, it doesn't only apply to the driver, it also applies to your spouse. So,
nice.
So, I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to spill the beans and say that we are going to be offering disability life insurance and a comprehensive insurance package available at an affordable rate for you and your spouse. And the benefits are on and off the road. So it's not just work related. It is whenever you need it. Disability, it's accident, disability, and life, I believe. But yeah, Heidi's going to announce more and roll it out really. So
that's awesome
for it, because it's revolutionary.
Awesome.
And we have not found any organization that can actually beat the coverage that we've been offered.
Wow.
Well, I was going to say, there's a lot of women's group out there as far as women in trucking. But I have always said that Real Women in Trucking is by far, I think, one of the best groups. And I always encourage anybody that's in the trucking industry or even thinking about getting into the trucking industry to look into it. And so I want to thank you so much, Jess, for coming on here, especially on your night that you could relax and clean your truck.
I think what makes us different is we are not going to be rah-rah, always smile and your friend. We are going to tell you the truth. Good or bad, whether you want to hear it or not, we are going to tell you the absolute truth. And it might sting a little bit. Sometimes it does. But when you sit back, it's not done out of malice. It's done out of love, because we've all stumbled through what other drivers are going through. And we're saying, please don't go that way. We've done it. It's not going to work. Let's do better.
That is so true. Well, thank you so much, Jess, for being on with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to post links up again right after this show to the memberships, and everybody can get information. And again, like Jess said, there's going to be some big announcements coming up soon for anybody who wants to join and become a member. So definitely get on the ball and do that. And if you guys haven't had a chance, at least go visit the Facebook page or realwomenintrucking.com. Visit their website and you can get all the information. Lots of photos up there, lots of great information. They're constantly putting up stuff that's so relevant to all of us here in the trucking community, but especially as women.
And it's stuff that not all the trucking publications are wanting to talk about. You'll see, we're always posting something that no one else is talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
for joining us tonight.
Thank you
for having me.
All right, you take care. Thank you. So
this is amazing.
I know. I wanted to apologize. Chris was having audio issues, so that's why she left. I don't know what it was, but it kept causing echoing. And so she tried to come out and come back in, and she was still having echoing problems. And so she just posted up here. She's like, my apologies to everyone. So it wasn't that we were trying to kick Chris out. She was just having some audio issues. So, and we've all been there and done that.
We have.
Yep.
It's not, especially when you're driving, you got to do a show. It's not perfect, but we do it.
Yeah, exactly. So just to reiterate, everybody, Jess Graham is on the board of directors with Real Women in Trucking, along with Desiree Wood and Adela Hansen, lots of other great women. They actually just added a few new board members recently. But yeah, and that's one of the things I should have mentioned. I'm glad Jess did. A lot of the topics and a lot of the subjects that they deal with at Real Women in Trucking are going to be controversial topics that other trucking companies don't want to deal with. They want to push it underneath the rug, where Real Women in Trucking stands up and says, no, we're going to deal with this. We're going to be vocal about it. We're going to try to make changes. We're going to try to make a difference, not only for just female truckers, but truckers in general. But a lot of the topics that they do try to make a difference on, such as female sexual harassment in the workplace and stuff like that, of course, does deal with women. But we know for a fact that, male truckers have been, sexually harassed out there as well. So it affects everybody. So I can't say enough about them. Like I said, when I went to Las Vegas and I got to spend the weekend with them and got to actually meet them in person, it was
I remember
probably
that day. Oh my gosh, I was so excited for you.
and Jess was so right because I think all women have that in us where we self-doubt ourselves. But the whole time to Vegas, I'm like, I'm not worthy. I shouldn't have won this award because when you read the stories of all the other trekking women, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so much better than me. Why did I win?
Oh, I remember you messaging me like, I don't know about this, Lori. I'm like, no, you got this. Don't do that.
So nervous, but I'm so glad I went. It was probably the best time in my entire adult life that I've ever had because you actually get to meet the women who you look up to so much that are making such a huge difference in the trekking community. It was like kind of like me meeting my Oprah Winfrey, when I met Desiree Wood. I'm like, oh,
Right? When you did your live, when you won Queen of Road, oh my gosh, I felt like I was sitting right next to you. I was so excited for you.
And let me tell
It
you
was
something.
awesome.
Jess Graham is probably one of the nicest people I have ever met. She is just super kind-hearted. She's a strong, independent trekking woman out there who's out there doing it solo. And Idella Hansen, I have no words for. She is the most, I don't even know what to say about her. She's just amazing. She's been in the industry for over 50 years as a female truck driver and so kind, wealth of knowledge. I was just so it blew me away that I had the opportunity to meet her. That's all I could say. It was just like it was a dream come true.
I've had the opportunity to talk to Jess here and there on Facebook and stuff, so it's really nice to meet her tonight.
Yeah, she's very nice, and she's so great about if you ever have questions or if you have questions about real women in trucking, she'll get back to you as soon as she can. Just remember she's a truck driver, but she's awesome and just the work that they do with real women in trucking, it makes me so proud to say that I was a little part of it. And that's why whenever I see them sharing relevant information, I make sure that I always get it into Trucker Safety Divas because it does affect everybody in the Divas. So whether you're a trucker or trucker's wife or girlfriend, it affects us all in the trucking industry. So
well, that's just like we're Trucking Safety Divas. There's times that we're going to put out stuff that is controversial. There's times that we're going to put out stuff that might weigh a little heavy on your heart. There might be some times that you do not agree with what we're putting out, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
But it has to be put out there.
Absolutely. Well, I know we've gone over a little bit, but I expected we would because I knew it was going to be a good show with Jess tonight. But is there anything that I forgot to mention before we get ready to close the show?
We were going to talk about the routes for the convoy. We're going to do that and show the routes and stuff.
Yeah, so let me, People's Convoy is the easiest one to find on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and you go to People's Convoy, they have the information up there. They just posted the routes information up 3 days ago, but I do have a graphic here that they just put up, and they put up information. So they're asking for any truckers who are interested in coming. What was the city in California again? I said, because I can't read it on my map.
Yeah, they're starting in California.
Yeah, it's by Barstow, California. I can't pronounce Atlanta. So they're asking for any drivers or anybody who wants to come on the 22nd to come to Atlanta, which is kind of by Barstow in California. And then the route's going to take you to Washington, D.C. Now, the picture that I'm showing does not show the southern route or the northern route. That's just the main one. There is another convoy group that, from my understanding, is leaving on March the 1st. But they're all having the same destination of Washington, D.C. So if you want to go to the People's Convoy, you can get the information there as far as, because I know a lot of people were interested in being on the overpasses to show support and whatnot. So you can definitely go to People's Convoy and get that information there. The other group that's starting on March 1st, I'll try to get that information tonight also and post it up in Trucker Safety Divas.
They really haven't posted too much time frame when they're going to go through each state, but I'm pretty sure as they go, they'll know more information and they'll post more of that out there.
Yeah, I think the big reason they're not trying to give away too much is because they already know that they're being looked at a lot from the government because the government knows they're coming. The government's waiting. And so I just pray DC is not as bad as what's going on in Ottawa, but I'm sure it will be.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna probably get pretty pretty intense, pretty heavy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I just hope everybody keeps it as peaceful as what's been going on in Ottawa as far as the truckers and the protesters are going, because that's the most important thing. We don't want anybody getting injured or trucks being damaged or police officers getting hurt. You want to get, if you want to join in the convoy, and I'm saying if you want to be a part of it, that's great. You can voice your opinion and all that, show your support, but please don't get violent and keep it the way it has been, nonviolent, at least as far as the trucking and protester side.
But I did want to say one thing before we get off, and it's something that I said in my live earlier today. What's going on in Canada, and I've seen a lot of this going on with some comments on Married to the Road and stuff, and I just want to kind of breach this. What's going on in Canada has nothing to do with the vaccine. It has to do that they wanted to make their choice on to get it or not. And since they weren't given that choice and there was a mandate, that's what they're protesting. That's why they're doing this. Because as human beings, we have a choice. We have the right to say what we put on our bodies, what we put in on our bodies, what we do with our own bodies. So I really want to stress on that, guys. It wasn't about the vaccine. It was because they want to have that choice.
Absolutely. And that's, and we're all in this, and Chris, I want to say Chris is the same way too, because we talk about this a lot, but we all have the same viewpoint. You guys know that Larry and I are vaccinated. It was our choice, our decision, but our standpoint amongst all of us here is it's your body, your decision, your choice. I'm not going to judge you if you're not vaccinated. I don't want you to judge me because I am vaccinated. And we just don't feel that a government body should tell you that you have to be mandated. But, and we're not trying to get into the politics of it, but that's the main thing. And it's not just truckers, it's healthcare workers and anybody else, teachers who are being mandated that they have to get vaccinated. So that's the whole thing, and they shouldn't have to lose their jobs over this, especially when they're, truckers. So.
Right. And another thing, and I'm not trying to be a mean or ugly person, but when you're a truck driver and I'm out here on the road with my husband 24/7, I see what he goes through. It is a real job, everyone. It's a real career. They are dog tired by the time they stop after their 10-hour shift. And then they still got to cook dinner, then do the dishes, take showers if they must, take their dogs out, and then try to relax. And they only are down for 10 hours of sleep, too. So honestly, they're not getting much sleep before they go behind that wheel again.
Yep.
So please understand, before you put down the career, try to understand the career before you say anything that's hard.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. I think so many people think that, oh, well, we just sit in a seat for 10 or 11 hours a day. How hard can your job be? But when you're dealing with traffic in and out and weather and accidents and maybe four-wheelers cutting you off, I mean, the thing with a truck driver, and you know this, Laura, you've seen James, we have to constantly be looking everywhere, 24/7, looking ahead of us, looking to our sides. We have to be alert. And so by the time you get done with a 10 or 11-hour shift, you're plumb exhausted from everything that you had to do, not including route planning and everything else. So I think you're so right. I think people don't truly understand how hard and how mentally straining and physically straining being a truck driver can be.
And if he's not looking over his shoulder or watching everything that's going on through the windshield, I'm doing that. I help with his backing. I watch us through the storms. I do all that out here for him too, because sometimes having an extra 2 pairs of eyes is a whole lot safer.
Oh, heck yes. And I wanna put up Diane's comment because she's got a really good one. If you go to a store and you buy something, then it's because a trucker brought it to you. And that's so true, whether it's fuel, whether it's medication, whether it's food.
It could be your drywall. It could be your screen doors. It can be your windows. We just did lawnmowers the other day. It's anything you purchase in a store, we're bringing to you.
Cars, we bring cars too. Dawn Stanton, she's got a good one too. She said, I feel bad for everyone who's losing their jobs or getting booted from the military. God bless all the truckers here in the United States and Canada. And God bless you too, Dawn. We love you.
We love you, Donna, honey.
Dawn is a rare breed. She's been a trucker for a very long time. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's got one hell of a good personality, and she's just an absolute sweetheart. I love hearing from her.
Before we get off here, and I know there's a lot of people that watch Rolling to the Underwoods. There's a lot of people that watch Married to the Road. But I kindly ask you guys, if you don't know about the trucking industry and you have a question, bring it to us so we can tell you the right facts of it all. So instead of somebody else belittling you for what your comment is, you kind of know more about the information.
Absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at Dawn Stanton's comment. Hold on just a second. Diane said, and Dawn Stanton sings really good too.
Right? Yes, she does.
and let me also say, when she's driving, she does really good trivia facts too. Like one night we were listening to 80s trivia facts with her. But Dawn said, thank you. You're making me cry now.
Well, she's going to be our game host when we do our game lives.
I know. We got to get that scheduled because I really want Dawn to host it because I think she would do an amazing job. Seriously. The way her mind works, and she's just so funny and quirky. Yeah, she's going to be a great host. And then
she'll be so much fun.
I know. Elizabeth Haynes said, my husband just left today. He'll be gone for the next 3 months. Oh my gosh, she's going to be gone for a long time.
Sorry. Well, you know that Trucker Safety Divas is here, so if you need us, let us know.
So I don't know. I had talked, hold on before I put that up there. So I had talked yesterday about Pat King, who's one of the people that helped put together the Canadian Freedom Convoy. He got arrested, and then the other two got arrested the day prior to that. But Pat King's he was live on Facebook when it happened, so you could go to his Facebook page and watch it. But now his partner, George, just got arrested too, Everett's saying.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had a feeling because I know that they were trying to hide out. And because it's the weekend, they won't go before the magistrate until Monday. So that's why they're trying to get them off the streets now, because at least that way they know that they're off the streets at least until Monday.
Right. Did they do a live on that one too?
I don't know. Everett just posted it.
Okay.
Gary Hodgkins says, we all love you, Dawn Stanton. She's getting the love tonight. And Elizabeth said, I support the truckers 100%. They are the heartbeat of this country. That is so true.
Thank you. We all appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. Everett's saying yes, so I guess they did do it live also, so we'll have to go to Georgia's feed and look at it.
Yep, we'll have to go check that out. Oh, my goodness.
It's been a crazy week. For those of you guys that are interested in following what is happening in Ottawa and not actually like getting it from a news source, the two places that I recommend is some of the Facebook groups are on there, like the Freedom Convoy, or the real Pat King's not on right now because he's in jail, but he was a good resource. But the other one is there's tons of TikTok lives on there where there's reporters and people who are down there in the trenches. To me, that's the best because it's not edited, it's not political. You can actually see what's going on down there in Ottawa. And it kind of gives you a window so that you can see for yourself that what the media is saying, that they're destroying property and they're doing this and they're doing that, it's not true. And if you go to TikTok, there's 4 or 5 different streams from 4 or 5 different places within Ottawa where you can see everything that's going on and see for yourself. And not once, and Larry's been watching a feed, I've been watching a feed, Lori's been watching, James has been watching, not once have I ever seen a trucker or a protester push a police officer. But it's been the other way around. Today they were out there with their batons shoving and pushing the protesters, and so I don't know.
Today this what happened today. So they had a row of police officers, and then of course in front of those police officers they had the Canadians. They weren't doing anything. What they were doing on TikTok, we want freedom. Let us have freedom.
And
God bless freedom. That kind of stuff. They were dancing. They had music going.
Yep.
But all they kept saying was freedom. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Give us our choice.
Yesterday I watched a feed. It it was one of those things where I felt bad for a lot of the police officers because on this particular feed, the protesters were just talking to the police officers, just, hey, you probably got brothers and sisters out here or mom and dads that are out here protesting. This has got to be hard on you guys. You guys are probably torn on this. We know you have to do this. It's your job. And then a lot of them were like, you could just call in sick tomorrow and say you got the blue flu,
Right.
But
You got the COVID.
yeah, but you can see like in a lot of the police officers' eyes where a lot of them really are conflicted. And so that's what I said yesterday. I'm like, you can't get mad at the police officers. You can't get mad at the military and the tactical units that are down there doing their job.
They're
It's
doing their
exactly what
job.
they're doing. Just like we have to pay our bills and support our families as truckers, they have to do the same thing. So that's why I'm saying keep it peaceful. They are simply doing their job. Now, when they start roughing up people, that's where they're drawing the line. If they're roughing up people for no reason, or using tear gas on peaceful protesters, or using an LRAD like what they did yesterday, to me, that's drawing the line. When you're sitting there peacefully and you're interacting with the protesters and nothing's going on, good for you. You're doing your job. We get it. We understand you. We've always supported the blue. But some of the things that have been done in Ottawa in the last 24 hours have been very questionable, to say the very least.
It makes me really sad. It really does. The trampling, the butting somebody's head with the gun. I mean, that hurts. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys have ever had that done, but it seriously hurts.
That was rough to watch because while that police officer was hitting him with the butt of his rifle, all the protesters were going, "Stop! Quit hitting him! Man, what are you doing?" And come to find out, it was a guy in his 60s. I mean, seriously, how much harm could he have done?
Right?
It was terrible.
Like today, a lot of the Canadians were telling the police, think of your kids. Think of yourself. You're human just like we are. But they also have a job to do too. But they don't have to take that job across those lines.
Exactly. They don't have to rough them up. If they're not doing anything wrong, then you don't need to be roughing up protesters. Especially because on the weekends, as we've seen in Ottawa, the weekends is where more protesters, because everybody's off work, comes down on the weekends. Now, Monday through Thursday, it'll be a ghost town down there. There won't be that many people down there. It's on the weekends where everybody comes down and it gets a lot of people. So Don Stanton said, I saw where all the people are listening to the music, dancing in the streets, where they have been all week. Exactly. That's why I keep trying to tell everybody, unless you've been to Canada and you've actually met Canadian people, and we've been to 4 provinces so far. They are the nicest, kindest people. That's just who they are.
Now, I mean, I can understand it was a full-blown riot, guys. I could totally understand that. If they were burning down the buildings, if they were damaging vehicles, all that kind of stuff, and looting the stores, I get it. But
like what we saw 2 years ago. Yep.
And I know that some of you saw my little live earlier, and I felt compelled because I got really tired of people being hurtful and spiteful and some of these comments that people are making. I just couldn't take it.
Yeah, I have to say, this is the first time that Larry and I have ever spoken out, ever. We've been asked over the last 4 or 5 years to stand up for this right or stand up for that cause, and we've never, we've always been middle of the ground. And this is the first time, and we've gotten a lot of backlash, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't judge you. I'd appreciate you not judging me. And you can give me all the backlash you want. Like I had a follower that said, how dare you support the supply chain breaking down? I don't support that. That affects my children. It affects my parents. It affects my grandchildren. But how else are we going to make a difference? I don't support it. I think it sucks. It's horrible.
In this day and age, everyone, we gotta stand up for what we believe in. We gotta stand up for rights, and we have to let our voices be heard.
Absolutely,
because it's our life we're living. So,
sorry. Go ahead.
If you guys don't like what we're putting out, then I'm sorry, but a lot of other people want to know the facts. A lot of other people want to know what we think and our opinion also.
And it's just, it's our opinion.
Right. Everybody has them.
Absolutely. Everett Smith said that they shot a guy in the face with rubber bullets. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my God. Is he okay though?
His eyes all bruised right here.
Oh, wow.
Jimmy Dean said they should do like here and put the cops in jail. Yeah. I have a feeling that it really upset me yesterday when the amount of police came in the way they did and were just shoving the crowd around. Then those two people wound up getting trampled. Thank God they weren't hurt worse than what they were. Dawn Stanton said, I have family that lives there. And Mona Beadle said, it is okay to have a voice. Exactly.
Exactly. It is okay to have a voice, but you still have to. There's a right place and a right time to voice your opinion.
Yep.
We can voice it, but you also have to watch what you're saying when you're voicing your opinion. Know your facts too when you're going out there and trying to say something, trying to stand up for your rights. Know those facts, because that goes a long way.
Yep. And I think as far as what the truckers are trying to fight for is that the bottom line is they're fighting that it should not be a mandate that people have to be vaccinated, whether it's truck drivers, medical workers, teachers, or whatever. That's what the fight is about. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with who you want to vote for, whether or not you like Trudeau, whether or not you like President Biden. The bottom line is they're saying no government entity should ever force you to have to take something that maybe you don't want to have to put in your body. That's what it comes down to. Because the bottom line is, which we've said over and over again, none of us on planet Earth right now know what the long-term side effects are going to be. None of us. And like I said, some of us have been vaccinated, some of us haven't. But none of us know. And so I understand the hesitation and the fear and the, I don't know if I want to do it. I get it. And I will never judge anybody because you know what? It's your choice.
And I will say it again. I have not been vaccinated. It is my choice, but it has to do with a lot of my health.
Exactly.
And if you have a negative comment because I have not been vaccinated, I would ask you to hold that back, because that's just going to cause an issue. Because I will come back at you hard.
And there's enough negativity right now in this world, and personally, I'm getting sick of hearing it. I think there needs to be a lot more positivity, and just if somebody doesn't have the same opinion or viewpoint as you, so what? You don't need to get into an argument with them. You don't need to try to change their opinion or try to change their voice. So what? That person has a different viewpoint or a different opinion than you. Okay, move on from it. We don't need to be nasty and aggressive and negative about it. Dawn Stanton's got another one here. She said, everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion, just like a butthole. Some stink worse than others. I can't believe you just had me read that on air, Dawn.
No, but I refrained myself because James says the other word.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Oh my goodness, Dawn. Okay, I'm blushing now. I should have read that before I put it up. You got me good, Dawn.
Funny, I love it. James, yep, he says the same darn thing too.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Gary Hodgkins makes a very good point. He said all they wanted was to have a meeting with them. I think that's what ticked me off the absolute most was when Justin Trudeau got, it was, I don't know what day it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. And so he got behind the podium and he was on the camera and he's like, okay, truck drivers, we've heard you loud and clear. Now get in your trucks and go home. Really? Do you think that is the way of solving this? Sit down, whether it be you, Justin Trudeau,
I don't think
or
they heard him clear enough.
Exactly.
I don't think they heard him clear enough. I don't think I don't think Trudeau, and this is just my opinion, I don't think he wants to sit down with them and actually listen. I think he wants to be more of, oh, I'm the boss, so you do what I say.
Yeah. I think if even if it isn't Justin Trudeau, maybe it's just somebody in the parliament that's underneath him. Somebody needs to sit down with the organizers of the Freedom Convoy and sit down and have a discussion. That's what needs to happen at this point. It should have happened 3.5 weeks ago when this first started.
Right.
Sit down, because you know that they have the funding, the numbers, and the truckers and the supporters. We already know that. So at this point, why don't you do the right thing and sit down and have a discussion on how can we peacefully resolve this? What can we do? But they haven't even done that. Now they want to take out military force rather than sitting down and having a conversation with the truckers and saying, what can we do as a country to try to get you back to work and try to resolve this in a peaceful way? That's what he should have done. Who
I
knows?
feel it. Again, this is my opinion, but I feel that if it continues to go the way it's going, and if more people are harmed and injured, and the more threats they're making, the more it's going to turn into a full-blown riot.
Yeah,
Even though
I'm worried about that
the
myself.
U.S. side, because the U.S. truckers are for the Canada truckers. Out here, we're all brothers and sisters. So, we have each other's backs out here.
Yep. I saw a video this morning. I just have to share it. He was not a truck driver that made the video, but he had like one of those really deep voices. And so he said something to the effect of, there's a war coming. He goes, be prepared. He goes, because we're coming to help you out, Canada. It was just the way that he worded it, and with the music behind it, I was like, oh, that's so true. And that's the whole reason that the People Convoy, who was originally supposed to leave on March 1st, the People Convoy, that's why they changed the date to the 23rd, because they knew that Canada was starting to falter. And we saw what happened on the Ambassador Bridge. So they're trying to get as many of the U.S. drivers up there in a quick fashion. And then the other convoy will be on March 1st, like it was originally planned. But the whole rush was because we saw what was going on in Canada. They saw what was happening. And so they wanted to get people up there as quickly as possible so that Canada knows that we're here to support you. We've got your back. Or as truckers like to say, we have your six. So that's why the rush.
But now I do want to put out there, it's not just U.S., not just Canada. There's been Israel doing stuff, Australia's doing stuff. So there is drivers all over the world doing this for their brothers and sisters in arms.
Yep. And before we get ready to go, the only one last thing I'd like to say is, I love Canada. I've always said that, but you guys have just won my heart over the last 3.5 weeks. I wish I lived in Canada because I have never been more proud of a country in my entire life. Seeing the people on the overpasses and seeing the people bringing food and diesel and taking care of our drivers who are out there. You guys are amazing. And I hope and I pray to God that when our U.S. convoy starts up this week, that we start seeing as much support from the United States as what you guys have shown in Canada, because it's been amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've had to call Lori because I'm blubbering. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is the best thing ever. It has been the most emotional 3.5 weeks. It's just, Canada, you are awesome.
They're awesome. And when the mandate's lifted and they're not saying you got to have the shot, I'm so going.
Hey, this is the first time in a very long time that we are seeing truckers finally make history. They always talk and they always say, we're going to do this, we're going to protest this. It was brokers' rates and Mayday. But this, there might be a good outcome out of this. We'll see.
I hope so. I really do. I hope so.
Yeah. And Kathy Cutler said Florida is gathering supplies. Yeah, I've heard that New York's ready. I've heard Arizona is getting supplies. Oklahoma, I've heard. So, yeah.
That was something I wanted to bring up, too. They are asking for donations, everyone. So if you're interested, even if it's just $5 or $10, if you're interested in supporting the convoys and supporting your truckers, then please donate.
Yeah, and by the way, they are not taking donations through GoFundMe or any other source that can be shut down. It's only through cryptocurrency. The reason they are doing that is because we saw what happened to the Canadian truckers with their GoFundMe and how their bank accounts were frozen, so that people don't have to worry about supporting the United States convoy and having to wake up the next day to find out that their bank account has been frozen, because federal government can't touch cryptocurrency. So that was pretty smart. Pretty smart.
Right.
And Kathy said, let's go, truckers, let's go.
Right?
Absolutely.
Let's go.
I know Lori and James are going to try to see if they can ride in part of the convoy. So is Larry and I. We're also hoping that by the end of our run next week, we're hoping that we can actually join them in Washington, D.C. We will be parking our truck in a safe location and Ubering into Washington, D.C. because we don't own our truck and I don't want anything to happen to our truck. But that is our plan. We do plan that we can hope to be there in Washington, D.C. to support our brothers and sisters. But we will not be putting our truck out there because we don't own it and I don't want anything to happen to it.
But please make sure that you're following all of our pages. We are putting stuff out all the time about what's going on in Ottawa. So if you're wanting that information, check out our pages, or you can contact us.
Absolutely. And don't forget, on Wednesdays, Sheila and Kathy have the Daytime Wednesday show. It's usually those two hosting. It could be other people that are joining. It's just a casual show. And it's not going to be every Wednesday. I believe they're having a show this Wednesday. We'll let you know for sure on Monday. And then Friday next week will be the guys show again, Friday at 7 p.m. Central. And then we'll be back here again next Saturday at 7 p.m. Central again.
Again.
So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Lori, for helping me host. Chris, we want to thank you. I know you had audio issues, but thank you. And I'm so proud of her being out there. Now it's been, a week and a half she's been out there driving.
And, here a couple of weeks ago, she said, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh, girl, you so got this.
I knew it from the moment I met her. I knew it. She just had a fire in her belly. When she told me, I'm thinking about being a trucker, I've signed up for CDL school. I'm like, think in my butt, you're going to be an awesome trucker.
You need to do it.
Yeah, and then no
she's spicy like us. I love her to death.
Exactly. And then her fiance, Justin, he's amazing. And he's so knowledgeable. Even though he hasn't been on the road for long and he hasn't been a trucker for long, he is very knowledgeable, super safety conscious. And he's going to be an awesome trainer to her. Chrissy Dean said, you all have my support. God bless you and please be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We so appreciate that.
And Big Mike says, good night, ladies.
Good night, Big Mike.
Good night, Big Mike.
We're going to go ahead and sign off. We love you all. We hope you have a beautiful night. And please, like always, if you need us, contact us.
Absolutely. And don't forget to join us at Trucker Safety Divas. It is only for women, sadly, but, come join us. We'd love to have you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again next week.